Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all. Welcome to Paranormal Shadow Investigations Live. We have a special guest, Nick Groff. Nick, thank you for joining us. I know you're super busy. We spoke to you last week via Messenger, so thank you for sparing us some time to come and join us on this live. How are you keeping?
Good, good. Thank you for having me. Yeah, no, I mean, we've been, investigating locations all over the world for a long time, and it's nice to see the both of you again. I know we crossed paths when I was in England, so
Yeah.
I feel like it was yesterday, but here we are. It's been a long time. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited to be on with you, and thank you for all the support. Appreciate it.
No, you're welcome anytime. It's 2020 has been a crazy year for obviously the pandemic and everything else that's going on around the world. So it's a strange year for all investigators. We normally go out in the field investigating locations ourselves, and we broadcast live via Facebook and YouTube. But since the lockdown here in the UK, we've been live via StreamYard talking to various people. So it's great to have you on. Let's start with, I think all investigators have got a story as to why they're involved in the paranormal. And, mine personally was an EVP back in 2006. What's the one piece of evidence that you captured or experience you had?
I think it's been multiple things, to be honest with you. I don't think there was one thing that said, that's it. Because through my life, I've had just weird experiences. I fell from a tree when I was 8 years old, ripped open my whole entire left arm right here. And I have a scar now and pretty much almost died. My mom saved my life with the medics and stuff. And I think skating on that thin ice, kind of crossing over for a second, but it wasn't my time to go, with the quick thinking of other people because I was a half inch off of my artery and bleeding out. But I think there's certain experiences and things that we have to go through in life on our journey. We're all on our individual journeys through life, but it's like that middle part of the life, not the beginning when we're born, not the ending when we die, but it's the middle part that we have to experience all these things, the hardship, the trauma, the sad times, the highs and the lows. It's a roller coaster ride, right? But I think as human beings, if we don't evolve as a positive or learn from one another or go through these experiences, then we're not living, and we can't fully understand what else happens beyond the scope of what we know when we die. So I think, everything through my journey has just been an experience. Life in general, I think, is the ultimate key I've learned to just collectively gather the information and share my experiences through like means of communication like we're doing right now to people that I cross paths with. And I think, there were certain paranormal instances that really opened my mind up from my logical perspective. And I think one of them was at the Linda Vista Hospital in East LA in about I think it was 2009. I saw this woman standing, 2 feet in front of my face that shouldn't have been there in the pitch darkness of investigating this hospital and the trauma center room. And what struck me before I freaked out and jumped back because it scared me is this hospital gown she was wearing with these little flower patterns and her face and her eyes connecting with my eyes in that split second. And I think that right there made me more obsessed about how could I experience this? Why did I see her? Why did we have these effects in this environment? And what was that? Was it a ghost? Was it a time slip? Was
Yes.
it a spirit of somebody who lived and died and now it's this can energetically form in front of us into our reality? Or are we dealing with something greater? And was it my own mind playing tricks on me? I don't like those are the things that you have to take into consideration and go through your head. You can't just say everything is a ghost, like how do we define a ghost at this point in our life? I mean, I think that's where I'm at right now through my journey. To answer your question, all these experiences, they all offer something, and I think we all share the interests in the supernatural, the paranormal, the mystery. Even if you're a skeptic and just completely believe nothing happens and nature is just a weird thing that we live in this vast universe, right? But we'd
Yeah.
be naive to say that we're the only living beings and we're the only things that happen. And, if we're just claiming nothing happens and that's it, then like, what else is there? Why, if that's it, what are we doing living? You know what I mean? Why are we evolving? Why is technology? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you have to start breaking everything down based on experiences and going through life in general. So that was kind of one instance. But I feel like it's everything.
Have you been on a journey from, was you ever a skeptic, or was you always been a believer from a young age?
I've always been open-minded, so I was never just a complete skeptic. I was more a lot. I'm one of those people that has to go on the venture, has to go out and experience it for myself.
Yeah.
I love looking at every documentary, every footage. I've been taken back from seeing all the stuff on the internet because, like, who knows what to believe anymore?
Yeah.
There's just so much crap on the internet. It's just like I want to go out and experience it. I like to get to the facts. I like to understand the nature of the surroundings, the environment, the trauma, the energy, everything in this universe. It has some sort of energy, when you start dissecting it. So it's like energy can't be destroyed. Energy can evolve. Energy can have like this conscious thoughts from people attached to that energy at locations like sadness and happiness and whatever the cause of that is.
Yeah.
But um, you know, I don't know. I at an early age, when I was about 13 years old, I really got heavily into UFOs and aliens. That's actually how I got my start into just being intrigued more so. So I was that weird kid at like 13 where I would listen to Art Bell on my little boombox. Remember radios, like this
Yeah,
little
yeah.
boombox? You I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So 1993, I was listening to my little boombox because my sister's godfather in Las Vegas, Nevada, used to tell me stories when I'd visit him about his father helped build the hangars at Area 51, Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, which was top secret, still
Yeah.
is. So before he died, he would talk about that. They talk about being kids, seeing the crazy nuclear bomb and the test facility and all the stuff they were experimenting with. And so he introduced me to Art Bell. And I would listen to Art Bell really late at night, and I would get my map, like the fold-out maps, and I would go and try to pinpoint in Nevada on, where it doesn't exist. And my father would be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going to Area 51 someday." He thought I was crazy. So that's kind of how I got my start, and I was just so intrigued by ghosts. I grew up part of my life in Nashua, New Hampshire. My grandmother used to talk to me about abduction cases. One of the great ones was in Nashua, New Hampshire, or in New Hampshire, back in the 50s. And I think that's really what intrigued me. They talk about ghosts and stuff like that, but I didn't fully understand like the conception of ghosts and all that kind of talk. Because back then I think everything was kind of like everything was kind of put in like boxes, like cryptid is over here, Bigfoot and all the Sasquatch and all that stuff is over here in monsters. And then over here is ghosts, everything, anything to do with ghosts, it's over here in this box. And then over here it's UFOs and aliens. But I think today everything has kind of come full blast, like where it's everything is almost connected in a weird way at
Yeah.
this point.
Possibly
I'm starting to see.
like social media, maybe. I think social
Yeah.
media help people communicate their experiences, and it opened like a massive forum for people just to chat about exactly what's going on in the paranormal world, whether it's UFO or ghost. It all comes into one. It's just
Like-minded people get together and talk, where that was never a sort of an option, was it?
Right, exactly. And that's my point. I think we're in a different time. I think everybody needs to come together. If we're
Absolutely.
talking just in general, like forget like all of us trying to have the right answers or somebody's above somebody else. Like forget
Absolutely.
all that. You know what I mean? Nobody has the right answers. Do you think
no.
Tesla had the right answers? Do you think Einstein had the right answers? They had theories. They put their theories to the test and they experimented, right? Because they wanted to discover something new. And that's kind of what I want to do. I'm not like out to disprove or prove or whatever. I'm out to just go through the experience, document, discover something new so we can evolve as human beings, so we can grow together and communicate that information to one another. So when I'm gone someday, because I will die someday, that's a fact. We all will die. No matter if you don't believe anything happens, it's still believing something happens when we die, right? So what does happen? Where's the energy go that we produce in this body? When I'm moving around, I'm producing kinetic energy. Where's the conscious thought that I'm putting into my brain? All this conscious thought, the mystery of the brain. We don't have all the facts. Even the smartest scientist in the world doesn't have every single thing figured out in the brain and how the nervous system works and all that stuff. When you start, breaking it down, And I don't claim to know it all, like, at all. I'll be the first to admit I like to go into locations that have facts, that have history, and I like to go through the experience, live there, or be a part of that environment and just see what happens. Because you never know. It's like it's not just at nighttime, it's during the day. It's I don't know, it's when you're eating lunch, it's when we're just having a basic conversation. Like, we could go into a location, it's reported to be haunted, and we'll just be sitting there talking, and then all of a sudden a book falls off a shelf or something weird. It's like, oh, was that paranormal, or was this the fifth dimension happening? Like,
Yeah.
and
Or,
like Interstellar, where I'm coming back saying, hey guys, this is me in the future, and me on the other side of the bookshelf pushing the book through. Hopefully I'm not ruining the movie for anyone.
Yeah.
It's like, who knows, man? You start getting into the notion of time. How does time work when you start breaking it down? Time and space doesn't really have any part or play. I guess, we wake up every day, our bodies have to rest, so we go to sleep. The sun comes up, the sun goes down, but really we're rotating, around, and we're growing older every second that we're talking. We're actually passing away, meaning out of these bodies. We're all getting older, and who knows when it's our time to go. Start thinking about all this stuff. I'm a deep thinker. It's like
Yeah.
Alice
I
in
mean,
Wonderland. Jump down the rabbit hole.
blows your mind. You can lay there awake when you should be going to sleep, just thinking about stuff that is so deep. You can't even get your head around it. It's mind blowing. We've got a lot of people in the chat that are. We've got David Charlie, who's part of Paranormal Shadow Investigations, in the chat. He's modding. We've got Luke and Rob also that are modding the comments.
Claire Louise Histon says hello from Maidstone in Kent in England.
We are based in the UK, for anyone who doesn't know. So I want to talk about, because we've got you for a short amount of time, so I know you, as I said, you're super busy. Let's talk Paranormal Lockdown. 2016 is when it first aired. It's produced by yourself. Mm-hmm. For anybody that hasn't seen it, I don't think there'll be many people, but we'll cover it anyway. 72 hours locked into a haunted location, yourself and Katrina.
One of the best paranormal shows ever made.
And
absolutely.
I think it's one of the most credible shows, in my opinion. That's my opinion. US and UK locations, which appeal to us because we are UK based. Mm-hmm. And it ran for 3 seasons. And the way you presented your evidence on every investigation was just
clean.
Yeah, it for us personally as a team, we investigate. It was how we like to present our own evidence in the way that he wasn't saying this is, as you said earlier, it might not be paranormal, but it could be paranormal. Yeah. Make your own mind up. Right. So, do you want to just talk a little bit about Paranormal Lockdown and talk on the show?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, Paranormal Lockdown was like having my second baby. It was blood, sweat, and tears. Honestly, it really was. It's probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life. Like, I've run Spartan races, American Ninja Warrior. Like, I've done some crazy stuff in my life, but Paranormal Lockdown's like, it's a weird psychology behind it where it kind of messes with your head because you become vulnerable and you start to realize within 72 hours, you don't get enough sleep. But, being really strong-minded and going through the motions, you have to be open to other things occurring. So, like, the concept, when I went into it, I just wanted to push the boundaries. I was like, all right, if things are happening, because I was used to staying at locations from dusk till dawn. I'm like, what happens if I stay longer? What happens if we isolate ourselves to the property and we kind of like, I don't like say living there because we're not necessarily living there. We're guests, right? We're coming there, we're staying there in a sense. So we stayed there for 72 hours and what you see is what you get. But, it gets super condensed. We have like 8 terabytes of footage that is condensed down to 43 minutes for cable TV broadcast. So all you're seeing is all the moments that were like the craziest experiences or the emotional experiences or documented evidence that we feel was compelling enough to show. There's a lot of stuff that, just I didn't know. I didn't know what that voice said or what that was or whatever. So a lot of the stuff that you see is condensed down to that. But I felt like I just wanted to be super story driven about the location, about the facts, and about just our experience, what it's like to just kind of isolate ourselves to this location and see what we can discover. And I really just wanted to discover something new. So it actually started first where I was like, what happens if I live at the location for a month? That's how it actually started.
To the extreme.
Yeah, and everyone thought I was crazy, and they're like, "Well, if you're having 1 week, so realistically, we'll fly out on a Sunday. We start right away Monday morning. Our interview, our walkthrough, the walkthrough and the interview people leave. So there's our story. We go right through it, right? And then right into the day investigation, to the night investigation, into like 24 hours or so until we have to lay down because your body has to rest before you start like going crazy or you black out and collapse. So I remember we were at where was it? Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia, one of my favorite locations in America, one of the best, or even Shepton Mallet Prison was probably one of my favorite locations too I've ever done. And after a while you start to realize how brutal physically and mentally it is going through, of pushing through for those 3 days, 4 days. So that's kind of how it started. And I started to realize really quick we were getting some really amazing just documented evidence that was mind-blowing.
That sort of leads me to my next question, is to, as investigators ourselves, we sometimes can be in a location for 8 to 10 hours, and sometimes you come away and you haven't got, you feel you haven't got enough evidence to even make a short clip to present to people. Have you ever come out of a location for 72 hours and not had what you would say at the time would be enough to put into a documentary, or have you always had enough to put into it?
No, there's been times where we'll go there for the whole day, the whole first day. It's like watching paint dry on the wall, It's like, it is what it is. I always wanted it to be something where like whatever happens, happens, and we're going to present it as that. And if nothing's happening as far as evidence goes, because a lot of people want to see evidence, right? But for me personally, it's more or less about the location, the history of the location, the stories from the people. People have very compelling stories because those are the ones that actually live through it or are there day in and day out. Like we interviewed a nurse who worked at the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, and she had the most incredible emotional stories. And just listening to her, to me, that was enough. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to be like, oh, I hope we get that like most incredible evidence on this one. To me, it's not even about that. It's more or less about telling the stories from people's perspectives and the location and the history. And then whatever happens, and trying to not just go in, but like help people understand maybe these things, we can get to the bottom of this. Maybe we can document something that is a little bit deeper than what we're thinking. You know what I mean? So I feel like we did a good job at it. And most of the times we'll be there for the day and nothing happens. But then on day 2, the morning we wake up, like Trans-Allegheny, I woke up and I was walking by myself, no one in the place. Katrina was all the way on the other side of Trans-Allegheny. I was on this side. Super hard to sleep on the 4th floor where I was. I'm walking down the staircase. I'm trying to get my battery in my camera to film Katrina waking up, and I hear sneakers walking down the hallway, like surreal, clear as day. I'm like, oh, Katrina's coming. All right, hurry up, get my camera ready. And I turn the corner to like film her, and the sound of sneakers just go whoosh, whoosh, just disappear right to me. And I'm like, all right, what just happened? I'm like, wait, where's Katrina? That was all right. Your mind starts boggling. You're like, no, that was real. I know what I heard. I've had enough rest. I'm not hallucinating. That is something, and then I go and she's in her sleeping bag way on the other side. I'm like, were you just and I wake her up and I'm like, were you just walking around? She's like, no, I don't know what, she's like, what day is it or whatever. So it's
the most, for us investigators, when you capture that evidence, you quite often think, if only I had a second camera, if only I had another 2 dictaphones.
A lot of if onlys, isn't it? A lot of if onlys.
It always happens when you least expect it.
Well, that's what we would do. We would have cameras rolling as as long and as much as we possibly could for 3 days. We would keep our cameras rolling. Even when we were sleeping, we'd keep our cameras rolling. But sometimes the batteries would die and you wouldn't even know it when you're like slowly going into REM sleep, you know? Like I think I monitored myself for 3 days. Actually, when we did the 100 hours at the Black Monk House, I had a Fitband. I monitored myself on the computer every day on my sleep patterns because I wanted to see if I was being affected by anything else when I went into REM sleep, deep sleep. So I noticed that I would consciously or subconsciously be drifting into sleep about 2 hours because I would get 2 hours out of the 100 hours. I think my REM sleep was 30 minutes. Like that's insane. You know, like I couldn't believe like what was happening because your body only needs so much rest. Well, for me, my body only needs so much rest because I have a lot of energy, but I do need to rest and let my brain and everything kind of like re-energize. But I was being affected dramatically just based off of like the data we were collecting on the sleep patterns. So it's a weird psychological thing to put yourself through. It's a one big experiment for the human body, but not only that, for the environment and just putting yourself into the environment and seeing how the things around you get affected in the environment with your energy. And everybody's different too. You know, like my energy could be totally different than yours, Matt and Shell. It could be like you could go in there for 3 days, have a completely different experience than I could. And maybe stuff happens differently for you that's, you know, paranormal compared to me. I don't know. It's weird.
It's difficult, really, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
For us to say that this is our most active location we've been to.
We get asked quite a lot, don't we? And I don't think there's one that we can sort of...
No, because as Nick says, it's...
we have different experiences, don't we?
People can go there for 2 days and not have one experience. It's down to the energy that we put in to that investigation.
And also, obviously, talking about Paranormal Lockdown, we want to talk about the VFL box.
Oh, yeah. VFL. Yeah. It's cool. Oh man, I loved working with both of you. Like honestly, super smart, thinking outside the box, and I think that's what it's all about, right? There's no right way or right thing to do. I'll try almost everything, you know, to a certain point to see if something will help document evidence better. So I thought the VFL box was really cool. I thought that was like super interesting. I've always been into like ITC and direct communication. I was trying so hard for Paranormal Lockdown to get scientists, engineers, electrical engineers, people like yourself and other people to try to push it a little bit further and experiment. Because I'm not an engineer and I don't know how to create all these devices, but I want to use them. Give them to me. I'll be the guinea pig.
We were surprised in season 2 because we watched season 1, season 2 aired. And in one of the locations, you said we were about to use the Portal app, which is one of our apps that I developed about 4 or 5 years ago. And then we were seeing people like Steve Huff, and we were seeing George on the show who created the ITC devices, the GeoBox. And we were seeing in every episode, you were bringing people forward.
It was amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
That we had known for a few years in the ITC field. And it was just refreshing to see that those faces were being recognised.
Finally getting the recognition they deserve. And
it's just so good to see.
Yeah.
But we met you after you come out of 72-hour lockdown at Drake Low Tunnels.
Yeah.
Exhausted. And you and Elizabeth looked exhausted.
Yeah, I felt like I was just living in tunnels, you know, for 3 days, or staying in the darkness and the damp cold of tunnels is weird. Yeah. My batteries went out at one point. I was following something by myself in those tunnels, and my IR light died, and my my batteries are dying on my flashlight, so I couldn't see where I was going. I had to look on my little LCD screen of my camera. It was super creepy. And then that like weird shadow figure moved, and that was just one of the creepiest things. Yeah, I felt just burnt out after that. But it was so good to finally meet you there. I was like, I was excited because, you know, you developed a lot of the devices and apps for us, and it was just so cool to meet the people that are like putting in the hard work, you know, because I'm out there just going through, I guess, the physical and mental like situation of Paranormal Lockdown, but you're putting in a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of like.
It was really crazy for me because it was like I've watched you since 2008 when you started in Ghost Adventures, and like I'm a massive fan of yours, always have been. So I was like a kid at Christmas. It was amazing.
Yeah,
I've got a 2-minute clip to show from the Cambria jail from season 3 Paranormal Lockdown. I'm just going to show that clip quickly, just to show the evidence that you caught on that episode.
Hey, it came from the dungeon.
It's clear that something is directing us towards the dungeon, but we only have a few hours left in our investigation. We prepare a detailed experiment with both audio and visual devices in order to document any spirits that manifest.
So one of the things we have tonight, we're going to use thermal again, because Rob felt something and he said it felt cold, which obviously means that whatever this energy is, it has a heat signature.
The VFL box created by Matt Payne will allow us to use the video feedback looping method. And I really believe that spirits use light in this wavelength, and they can actually communicate with us a lot easier that way. We're also going to project the image of the VFL box right onto the wall over here so we can see anything in real time.
Old analog equipment doesn't filter things out like modern equipment does. So if we use a vintage camera, we have a vintage Polaroid right here, we might be able to capture whatever energy is here in the basement.
Ready? We're here to figure out what's going on with this jail, why you're haunting it. What happened to you? Can you show yourself? Can you try to use all your energy? Use the light. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Katrina.
What?
I heard a thud over there.
Who's down here?
What was that?
What's wrong? What?
Holy What was that?
What's wrong?
Holy
What?
I think I just saw something appear on the projector. I saw some figure kind of come up really quick and go away.
It was on the projector?
Yeah, it came through the VFL box. Seeing this figure that we documented on the VFL device, I can't believe we actually captured something. And it could be the same entity that I actually saw when I was alone down here in the dark.
It's cool. That was a really cool experiment. And the
Absolutely.
experience was awesome. Yeah, I mean, we had cameras everywhere. It was just like things were just happening left and right. There was noises over here, then that capturing and documenting that experience. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. Now, we are aware of the time. We are running short because I know you've got to travel. We'll have a quick chat about VidiSpace, because it's like an online platform for streamers, live streamers, filmmakers, and there's a monthly subscription to join, which is
so worth it.
£5 a month, I mean, or yearly fee, and you get to join and interact with live streamers at the time of the investigations, as well as the films. It covers UFOs, paranormal, anything paranormal. So do you want to tell us just a little bit about the background of VidiSpace?
Yeah, VidiSpace streaming platform. You can pretty much get it and sign up right now if you just go to vidi.space and subscription base right there. And if you put in, if you put in the code, you can get 50% off, which is all capital I love space. So you could probably do that right now if you wanted to. It's a 15-day free trial too to check it out and try it out. Elizabeth Saint runs it, and we teamed up together, and Justin Aragon and myself I just wanted to really bring it to the people. You know what I mean? I feel like VidiSpace is a place for the independent artists, is kind of what we call it. And it's a place where you can go for UFO content, cryptid, paranormal, supernatural. And there's over 500 films in general. Also, G Crew is up there. You can watch my show, my podcast show that I do with Chad Lindbergh, Josh Hurd, and Johnny Hauser, which is G Crew. And we talk about everything with great people. And also Nick Groff Tour Live is up there, and so many other things. And we're producing right now a new series I have coming out called Nick Groff Investigates, which I'm super excited about. I feel like this is the next paranormal movement that we're going to bring to the forefront. And we're taking it back to the raw elements, and it's a different perspective on the paranormal. And I think everyone's going to really appreciate what we have coming with Nick Groff Investigates, this new series.
I come to the
really
UK.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely am talking with some people in the UK, possibility of coming there really soon. So yeah, obviously things have been on hold because of everything that's going on, but yes, the plan is to come to the UK in the near future. Absolutely.
Amazing.
Have you got time just to answer a couple of questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Is that all right?
Right.
Robin.
Let's bring Robin for a question.
Hello.
Hey Rob, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Nick, yourself?
Good.
Good. I was wondering, out of all the gadgets and gizmos you've used over the years, what's given you the most compelling evidence?
You know, I think everything that I've tested and tried multiple times at different locations, because there has to be like a redundancy of evidence coming through, because it can't just be I don't know, like one thing here and then that's it. So I've tested so many different gadgets and creations and apps and all sorts of stuff. I mean, VFL Box was really cool. I love that because it was different and it had to deal with light. I really believe within the wave and the spectrum, outside what we see in the video spectrum. I think there's something really interesting happening. Like when you look at neutrinos or dark matter, or when you start to dive into stuff like that, I think like those are the spectrums and the things we have to start diving really deeper in with technology. But the one thing that blows me away still is the direct, intelligent communication happening in the moment of you asking questions, which would be the geoport. For me personally, I had this one custom box built, just one box built, which was geoport, which functions on EMF, electrical, and you can run apps through it or you can run FM radio through it. But what I've learned is almost like this geoport has taken on its own entity at this point. Through the years, I've been using it for years and I've tested it. Sometimes I don't get anything. Sometimes it's just gibberish. But I was at a location recently trying to help a family, and son passed away. And it was for a G Crew episode, and I was talking to them, and they really wanted to try to, see if their son was all right and everything. So I was just helping them, and I said, all right, let me try this. And I'm telling you, I've never seen such strong direct communication in my life. And it was so like, it gives me goosebumps. It was so emotional because you could hear the vocal tone coming through on the wave vibrations outside the spectrum of the phonetic words, where it shouldn't even be in phonetic words that is programmed into the program. So these are words outside the dictionary that is in this app, right? So you could hear them being manipulated in a sense in real time with the family. No BS. And the father is like, he's a police officer for 20 years. He's like, I love you, son. You could hear the son who passed away responding, his vocal tone saying, I love you, Dad. I love you. I love you. Like repeatedly, not just like it happens and then it's gone. You don't hear it again. Like typical EVP or typical direct communication. This was like a redundancy of like 8 times happening over and over and over again. Like the odds in that are like 1 in a billion. You know what I mean? Just my experience with doing it over a couple hundred locations. It's just, I don't know. That's the type of stuff that really makes me think, how is it possible? How are these entities or these people that were once living or passed on, or how are they able to communicate? Or are we talking about time slippage here? Are we talking about they're still living in another reality and this is the form of communication with our reality? Like what is happening and how are they able to hear us? How are we able to hear them? It's getting closer and closer to some really interesting communication. I think for me, that would be the really go-to.
Yeah.
Awesome. Answer your question, Rob?
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, it's long-winded, but I get all excited. I get excited about this type of stuff. I don't know. It's like one of those things when, you have a piece of equipment, you're unsure exactly how it works. Like for me, for my brain, like I understand like the equipment inside of the device, but I don't understand outside of the spectrum of how they operate and function. How is whatever is communicating with us able to manipulate the phonetic words or the words within that, the vibrations, and communicate? That's what really blows my mind.
Yeah.
Right.
We've done so many experiments trying to find out where that manipulation happens. Is it in the air? Is it at the device that's providing the sound, or is it at the recorder that's recording the sound? And there's so many different ways to try and establish where that manipulation is happening, but it's difficult to prove nowadays. in a scientific point of view where it's happening. It's so difficult, but we keep moving forward to try and do that. Yeah. Thank you for your question, Rob.
No problem. Thank you.
One more question from Luke.
Hello.
Hello.
Up, Luke? How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good.
So, out of modern investigating or traditional investigating, what do you prefer and why?
I like it all. I like trying it all. I think both. I like old school, but I like new school, because if we can't combine the two, then I don't know. It's like we're not evolving in a sense. There's something interesting when you walk into a location with less gadgets, gizmos, and whatever, blinky lights and stuff like that, where you can just have an experience with your own body and logically try to put it into perspective, maybe with just a simple digital recorder or a simple camera. Because I feel like if you can see it or hear it or feel it with your own eyes, and you can try to document and validate it with your piece of equipment, I feel like that's an incredible experience. But then the flip side, I want to have different types of equipment like the Geoport or the VFL box or any other device that's being created now to experiment with, because who knows what's going to take us a little bit closer to that other side or that other place that we're communicating with and documenting. So both to me is great.
Right down to the bottom comments.
Just quickly, we do a couple of comments. We apologise because we've got a limited amount of time. We want to put a couple of comments up.
I'd like to give a big shout out to Karen. She's another team member of ours. She's just like to say hello.
Hey, Karen. Hello, Argentina. Yep. Hello, Argentina. Marilyn, Diane. I'm just naming off names what I'm seeing. Hopefully I'm not messing up the names.
I think that's it. This poor man has got to go travelling.
He has. And
busy schedule.
David Charlie, who's done a great job of moderating the comments while we've been here.
Hey, David. I mean, honestly, much love to everybody out there in the UK, around the world, wherever you are. I'll leave it at this. I say you go through life. Life is a journey, right? We're born into this world as human beings, and we're all destined to wherever that place we're going, whatever our beliefs are, whatever our background is. You can't take that away from anybody. And I think the ultimate goal is to just set a positive example, ripple effect the universe for a positive, evolve as human beings, and communicate this information through each one of our experiences that we're all having, and just come together, share that. There's nothing worse than dividing and going against each other. I think at this point, I love meeting new people. I love talking and communicating with different people. And I'm open-minded to whatever the possibilities are. I have my own views and perspectives, but what would that be good for me if I'm not learning every new location I walk into, every new person I meet, if I just close off and say, nope, this is my perspective and that's that? Then I would say, well, when I died, that's that. But it's not. And I think something greater happens. I think we live in such a huge universe beyond our universes and beyond that and beyond the infinity of light, and the spectrums that we can't see and the vibrations that we can't necessarily hear all the time and the sensations. And we all have different experiences through our life journey. So much love to everybody and positivity. And that's just how I want to ripple effect this universe, discover something new and evolve together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I believe you've done most of that already, Nick, with the way you put your evidence out there for people to view. So before we end the live here, if Nick, you just want to, I think you covered most of it in regards to Nick Groff Tour, G Crew, Vidi Space, but if you just want to tell people where they can find you, and we'll put some links up afterwards just so people can find you easier.
Awesome. Yeah. And by the way, the music for your intro was amazing. I was so pumped up. I was like, this music is epic coming into this show. I felt like I was going into a lockdown, like a lockdown within a lockdown. I was like, all right, this music's great.
Rob Sappy's
intro music, Paranormal Lockdown, was I love
Do you know what? Do you know how many times he would make me listen to that on a car journey?
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah, it gets you all pumped up. I love it. No, I love I love that type of music because it makes me think. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I'm a deep thinker, so I love listening to music like that. But yeah, mad props on your intro music. Yeah, no, everyone can find me. I'm on Instagram if you just at Nick Groff _. Same thing with Twitter, Facebook. Just make sure it's that little blue check mark next to all of my social media. And pretty much I post a lot of stuff there. VidiSpace, go there, be a part of VidiSpace. We'd love to have you a part of that. There's a great membership going on right now. There's tons and tons of documentaries, films, content that is up there, streaming every week, every Friday, new episodes. We got Chip Coffee's Paranormal Pajama Party that's actually streaming this Friday, so which is tomorrow. So go check that out. And then I have a new series coming out called Nick Groff Investigates. I'm going to be releasing that this year. It's coming out very soon. Get ready. We're just finishing up the final touches. And G Crew, we released a new episode every month. We have season 1 is up right now. We have a Patreon page. Help support us. It's $1. it's really not that much. So we love doing it. And just a ton of stuff. I'm probably missing so many things, but yeah, I mean, I just love what I do. I'm passionate, and I'm super excited for the future of what we're going to do and the new things we'll discover. I feel like, you know, everything has a stepping stone. There was Ghost Adventures, there was Paranormal Lockdown, and I can't wait for the next stepping stone. It's going to be amazing. So all we can do is keep pushing forward and keep striving for new things.
Of course. We'll be sure to share all those links that you've just said on our page, so anyone can find you easily. Again, thank you for sparing us some time, Nick. I know.
Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
You're so busy, so
more than you realise.
never too busy for you two. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, and much love to Paranormal Shadow Investigations. You guys rock, and keep inventing, man. Keep inventing, because you're like, people like you is who help people like myself. You know,
this is lockdown one.
This is
no
a lockdown
spirit box.
Spirit box.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. I got to show that to my friend Merch. I got to show that to Robert Merch. He he would love that.
I just share it into Robert Merch's page. I know he's had an operation not too long ago, so he's recovering. So, but anyway, thank you. I'm going to end the broadcast there, and we will have a quick chat afterwards. But thank you for everyone that joined us. We apologise if we didn't get to share your comments, but again, we had a limited amount of time. So thank you again, and we will see you here again at some point. We'll advertise any lives we've got coming up. So thank you. Do you want to say thank you, Shel?
Yeah, thank you all for joining us. Look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Thank you. Take care and bye.
Bye.